welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 wedding regrets and 5 wedding investments that I'm glad I did or that I regret. I could go all day and talk about these things, but I've narrowed it down to 5, the 5 most important ones, because if you let me, I would talk to you all day about the whole thing. So let's jump right in. So let's start with the regrets. If you have watched my previous video called Wedding Expectations versus Reality, you will know that it rained on my wedding day, and it was devastating for me because the ceremony was outside. So my number one regret is being in denial about that ceremony and the weather. And if I could go back in time, I would accept the fact that we live in England at the end of the day and that things could, change. So I regret not having a contingency plan for my ceremony and not having things in place in case that had happened. And now I really do regret it, because had I put a plan in place, things would have looked a little bit differently on the day and pictures might have looked nicer. But it's okay, we live and we learn. But yeah, I really regret being in denial about it, basically. My second regret is that I didn't have a hashtag. I mean, technically I did. We just didn't say it to people, really. I just kind of thought of one last minute and I just put it on the website, but not enough people saw it for it to be a thing. So if I could go back in time, I would have probably put a hashtag in the invitation or something, so that when people come, or somewhere at the wedding, so that I can actually see people's pictures, because to this day I still haven't seen the pictures that the guests took. So yeah, I would quite like to have had a hashtag. My third regret is that I didn't give anyone a film camera or something for them to take pictures of the behind the scenes. I think I would have quite liked to have had the behind the scenes look, or more of a, because we have the photographer pictures and they're really staged and they're beautiful, but I think it would have been quite nice to have those behind the scenes look, and the laughter and the little nitty gritty stuff that I think is probably what makes the day. My fourth regret is actually kind of one of my biggest hacks as well. I say mine, I didn't invent it. It's probably one of the biggest bridal hacks ever. I hate wearing heels. Like, it just pains me, it's just so annoying. I'm very much a trainer girl, so if I could go back in time, I would have changed into my trainers sooner. I did spend most of the days in my trainers, but when we took the pictures with the photographer, just me and Adam, I was wearing my heels and I was in so much pain. So had I worn the trainers then, I would have been more at ease, and we probably would have taken a little bit more pictures, or I don't know, I would have just been more comfortable. But straight after that I changed into my trainers, and that was the best thing I did all day. Fully don't regret it. In some pictures I show it, I'll put one here, but other than that you couldn't really see my trainers anyway. People just knew I had them on because I wasn't afraid to show that I had them on. But yeah. My last regret is that the morning of, I actually woke up quite early, obviously, but because I thought I had so much time, I actually ended up getting ready later. Not later, but I think I took my time, and I wish I would have gotten ready so that I was ready way ahead of time, and I had time to things like Adam and I didn't pray before the ceremony, and I didn't have time to read Adam's letter to me. He had time to read my letter to him, but I couldn't read his letter to me, so that was very upsetting. I had to read it the next day, which is fine, but no one was there to take pictures or record it like Adam had. But yeah, I think, I don't know why, I just thought I just had all the time in the world. But it turns out that no, I didn't, and because of all of the rain and stuff, I had even less time because I was crying. So if I had planned myself more, I think I would have liked to be ready way ahead of time, like maybe a couple hours before the actual ceremony, so we can actually have time to take pictures and it be all fun and games without it being like rushed. Whereas my pictures with my bridesmaids were really rushed because we were like, let's go, 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 go. So yeah. Right, so wedding investments. My first wedding investment that I'm so glad I did is a good photographer. Now, this is a very, very obvious one, but I just really don't understand people who don't care about their photographer, or they're just like, oh yeah, whoever. I'm like, no, like, this is the only thing I get to keep from the whole day. I'm going to choose a good one. So thankfully we actually have a friend who is a photographer, and she was just the best, and bless her, she was pregnant at the time and we didn't know, so she suffered through the day. She was really, really ill and nauseous, and she suffered through the day for us, and I'm very grateful to her. My second investment is videographers. Again, it's a really obvious one, but I feel like it's just the only thing you get to keep, that and pictures. But something else is that I wasn't afraid to tell them what I wanted. I knew exactly what kind of video I wanted. I had sent them like an example. I had told them the kind of vibes that I was going for, and I'm really glad I did. And I did feel bad just kind of telling them what to do, but at the same time I didn't want to have a video and then me sending it back to them because I didn't like it. So I was just straight up with them and I just said exactly what I wanted, and they did the best job. The first edit, literally the first video they sent us, was the one that we kept because I was just so happy with it. My third investment that I'm glad, it's not really an investment like a financial investment, it's more of a life investment, is I am glad that I put my foot down in the non-negotiables of my wedding. If you're anything like me, your wedding day is something that you've been planning since the day you were born. And when it comes to weddings, unfortunately, it's not as easy as that. Like, there is a lot of politics that goes into it, especially when it comes to families and all of that jazz. And there's a lot that you need to navigate when you're planning a wedding in terms of your family. So I am very, very happy that because my vision for my wedding was so crystal clear, I was able to then put my foot down on the things that I really wanted. Not everything, you know, was a deal breaker. Some things I didn't really care about, but most of the wedding I did care about. I'm glad that I put my foot down and that I managed to have my way, because had I been like, oh yeah, sorry, we'll do it your way, I think that now I would regret it and it wouldn't be a very nice feeling. So stand your ground. So my fourth wedding investment that I'm so glad I made was a wedding coordinator. So my friend, well actually a friend of a friend who then became my friend, just happens to be a wedding coordinator, and we hired her for the day. And I think because it was a DIY wedding and we were having it in a field and we had to do everything ourselves, we needed to have a coordinator because it was a game changer. She was the one, you know, that kind of signaled to the musicians to start playing, like that sort of thing. It just makes such a big difference. She's the one that was the bridge between the bridal party and the vendors, the catering company. I think having her there was key because we were able to then just relax, even though our parents weren't really that able to relax because they're parents, but I can't imagine what it would have been like had she not been there. So my fifth wedding investment that I'm very glad I made is that we actually DIY'd so much stuff at the wedding, and I actually want to do a whole video on all of the things that we DIY'd, because had we bought them as a finished product, it would have been so much more expensive. I just think that the price would have been astronomical if we had bought everything as a finished product. But because I come from a family that's very crafty and very creative, my family was able to just get one thing and take it to the next level. So I'm very, very glad I did that. There's just so much that we DIY that I wouldn't do it justice if I just shared it now. So I think I'll make a whole separate video on, you know, what I DIY'd and why I did it. And so I highly recommend DIYing as much as you can. I do realise that because my family's so creative, we were probably able to do a lot more than maybe an average person would. I'm quite average, it's just my family that are talented. But yeah, I think as much as you can, I think it'd be great. But sometimes buying the finished product, it's just worth the price, you know. I just wish basically that I could have told someone like, I want this, this and that, and they would have just made my vision come to life. But unfortunately, I am not made of money and I was not able to do that. But nonetheless, we had a great wedding. I think it was a success. Now you know what I would have done differently. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll do that video about the DIY'd decor. That was a lot. And I'll see you in my next video.